Today we'll look at whether you're a narcissist, what the symptoms are, and how you can tell if this is something you're dealing with. If you're new here and want to subscribe, we'd love to have you. I talk about everything mental health, whether it's narcissism, eating disorders, depression, anxiety, or anything in between. Hopefully, you'll learn something new and get some useful advice you can use right away. When it comes to narcissism, it's important to understand that a narcissist has narcissistic personality disorder. Because it is critical to understand that people can have narcissistic characteristics without having a full-blown narcissistic personality disorder. In the same way that I can have some anxiety symptoms without having a diagnosis of generalized anxiety disorder, we can have some of the traits but not the full-blown disorder. So today I'm going to go over some of the most common narcissistic characteristics, so you can see if any of it corresponds to what you're experiencing or what someone in your life is experiencing. And if you believe any of these characteristics apply to you, it is critical that you consult a professional to be properly diagnosed. Do not use this video to diagnose or undiagnose yourself. It is critical that you see a professional in order to receive proper treatment. The first characteristic of a narcissist is superiority. This basically means that they believe they are better than everyone else and that if you do something they don't approve of or point out something in their life, they will judge you. Assume you walk into their home and think, "Oh, I think that could be a blue wall instead of that." They will burn it down. They can talk trash about you, they can tell other people how bad you are, they can unleash rage on you, anything to get rid of you. Or appear to be discredit you, appear less serious so that they can maintain their superiority facade. The next characteristic is entitlement, which I believe flows nicely from superiority, but people with narcissistic tendencies will feel entitled to your respect. They will feel entitled to an apology whether or not they have earned it. They are not in the wrong because you are completely wrong. They believe they are entitled to a raise, a better position, or your seat on a plane. A person with narcissistic tendencies will experience this sense of entitlement throughout their lives. The third most common trait is a need for attention. I'm going to consult my notes because I don't want to forget anything. Weddings, other people's birthdays, and any major successes for people in the narcissist's life will be extremely difficult for them. They will do anything to divert that attention to themselves, because they may find it difficult to not be the sole focus of a day or event. When a narcissist is not given the center of attention, they can pick a fight, or they can talk over the person who is, say, celebrating their birthday and giving a toast. They're going to stand up at the same time and try to talk over them in order to regain their attention. They might even knock someone down. They can start a fight with other people or create drama in order to divert attention away from the person who is supposed to be the center of attention. A narcissist's next characteristic is a desire for control. And the reason for this intense need is that they want to maintain the appearance of being perfect and superior. They can't do that if they don't have complete control. As a result, they will employ a variety of manipulation techniques. One of those is gaslighting, "You're not remembering correctly, that's not what happened," or love bombing, showing us attention and affection. They can make it difficult for us to understand, but they are a wonderful person. And they do these things to get us to do what they want, and if that doesn't work, they bring in what many people online refer to as the flying monkeys, which essentially means people who take part in their smear campaigns. These will be casual people in their lives who haven't realized who they are yet, but they will listen to their side, agree with them, and then join in shaming and blaming others for the problem. And why do they do it? It's because people with narcissistic tendencies are extremely fragile, and they are frequently the result of trauma. So we put up this fake facade to kind of protect that squishy inside part, and if things don't go as planned, it can feel out of control. That can be frightening because it reveals that soft inside, right? So we'll manipulate and try to control in order to maintain that facade and feel safe and okay. Another important characteristic is a complete lack of boundaries, because a narcissist requires a lot of control and wants everything to be perfect. They'll struggle to see where we end and they begin, which is common when our parent is a narcissist. We're their child, we may feel like we're just an extension of them, we're not independent, everything we do is representative of them, either negatively or positively. When we succeed, they'll want to join in and draw attention to themselves. When we do something they don't like, they'll want to disown us, call us disrespectful, and call us all kinds of names. Because there is no independence in a relationship with a narcissist, this lack of boundaries makes it extremely difficult. And if you try to enforce or establish boundaries, they will usually lash out, throw a tantrum, or at the very least push back and pretend you never talked to them in the first place. Another distinguishing feature is that they never accept responsibility. A narcissist is incapable of offering a genuine apology. If something does not go as planned, they will never accept responsibility for it. They are constantly looking outside of themselves for scapegoats or other ways to blame, shame, and deflect any responsibility that they truly bear. Because if they had to admit that they were wrong, the entire facade I've been talking about would crumble to the ground. The next characteristic is a lack of empathy, which is extremely difficult for people to comprehend. Because it's difficult for those of us who have empathy to imagine someone who doesn't have it. Empathy is the ability to feel for another person. For example, if you see someone trip and injure themselves or drop their belongings on the sidewalk next to you. Someone with empathy would say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, let me help you," and they would help because they can imagine how that would feel. Or watch a television show or news segments, especially since the news has been extremely difficult to follow in the last 2 years. You can cry while watching the news because you feel for those people who have narcissistic tendencies. Or someone with narcissistic personality disorder does not believe they are incapable of feeling empathy, putting themselves in the shoes of others, and instead they tend to assume or expect us to think and feel the same way they do. When we don't, they can become enraged and lash out. And the final trait I'll discuss today, but I'm sure there are plenty more, so please leave them in the comments, but this trait is splitting. I've already discussed splitting in relation to BPD, or borderline personality disorder. Splitting is when we believe that people are either all good or all bad. It's a very black and white way of thinking. However, this also occurs in people with NPD or with narcissistic traits. We may believe that if someone does something minor, such as pointing out something we didn't do well, and we are the one with narcissistic tendencies, we can automatically assume that person is the worst, that they don't belong in our lives, that they're not good enough, that they should never have been around us, and we can shame and blame them, or we can get other people in our lives to shame and blame them. Remember those flying monkeys? To demonstrate that we are superior and that they are all bad. Or we can have people on pedestals who are frequently younger. People who live a narcissistic life will be like these incredible people. They'll believe that everything they do is fantastic because, once again, there are no boundaries. They are so inextricably linked to us that if we believe that person is successful, maybe they're a celebrity in some ways, or they're very important in their work, or the structure of their work, or whatever, we can point to them and say, well, that's just because of me, right? So I'm linked to that person, so we can label them as all good or all bad. If you're still wondering if I'm a narcissist or if someone in my life is a narcissist, read on. Here are a few questions to help you answer that. First place, does the thought of being a narcissist make you feel bad about yourself? Consider whether you want to do it or not. The second, are you concerned about how others perceive you? If you were aware that you had upset someone. The third, are you quick to apologize when you've offended someone's feelings? The fourth, do you get nervous or anxious when you pay too much attention? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are most likely not a narcissist. Think about what we just discussed. You demonstrate empathy. It's unlikely because you apologize quickly and dislike attention. However, if you're still having trouble, here are a few more questions to consider. First place, do you consider your friends or children to be extensions of you, as if they are representing you and carrying out your life? Second, do you frequently believe that other people aren't good enough to associate with you? Do you find it difficult to apologize, or do you often believe that any disagreement is your fault? Someone else is to blame, and do you find it difficult to see things from someone else's point of view? Or is it difficult to imagine how someone else might feel as a result of what just occurred? It is possible, if you answered yes to any of these questions, that you could have narcissistic tendencies. It is critical that we see a professional once more and get properly evaluated so we can be sure that's what's going on. But those are some things that correspond to some of those characteristics. Overall, if you're watching this video and are genuinely concerned about whether you're a narcissist or not, chances are you're not. I find a lot of people have this incredible overlap, who have a great deal of empathy for others and are worried about being a narcissist. And I believe it is simply because we feel so much and hear things that may or may not resonate with us. We're thinking, maybe that's me. Oh my goodness, but keep in mind, a narcissist cannot put themselves in the shoes of others. They lack empathy, are unconcerned about how other people feel, and would not be concerned about being a narcissist. If you told them they were, they'd probably blame you and say you're remembering things incorrectly. So think about some of those characteristics and symptoms. Rewind the video and watch them again, because you most likely aren't. I hope this was informative and alleviated any fears or concerns you may have had about this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.